saying welcome everybody to the Snowboard Pro Camp live chat. We'll be on here for the next hour to answer your snowboard questions. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. And feel free to ask me any question that's on your guys' mind, beginner questions, trick, snowboard progression, anything to do with gear. So hit me up with some good questions, guys. And also let me know where you guys are watching from, because I know that we have people on here watching from around the world. So it's amazing to hear where you guys are watching from. And a quick shout out to some of the early people on the chat as well, to Giada, El Stacker, Lucas, Mitch, Reds Cap, Eamon, Emilian Popoff, Easton, Amen, Kim, all you guys, thanks for tuning in super early. And yeah, I'm going to try to get to as many of your questions as possible. At the moment, I'm coming to you guys from Whistler, BC, Canada, and trying to make plans at the moment for the summer, for some summertime snowboarding. So looking at going down to Mount Hood, maybe Switzerland. So in the Northern Hemisphere, I know a lot of people are trying to squeeze out some more snowboarding this summer. And then down in the Southern Hemisphere, everyone's coming into winter. So it's an exciting time down south in Chile, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere in the Southern Hemisphere where you guys are just coming into your winter. So exciting times. Thanks again, Jose, for the update. I hope you guys can all hear me now. And we got, let's see what the first question is. Big shout out too to everyone staying up late over in Europe. You guys are amazing. And a big shout out to our moderators for keeping the chat so organized and clean. Jose, Reds, Cap, El Stacker, Justin Visey, Chuck Van. Thank you guys for being awesome moderators as well. So yeah, let's see. Let's check out the first question. We got John watching from Brisbane, Australia. Caitlin wants to know, how do you keep fit during the off season? For me, a big thing is like here in Whistler, there's so many cool hiking trails. So I do quite a lot of hiking through the off season. So almost every day I'm doing some kind of hike, whether it's a short hike or a long one. I've done some crazy 5-6 hour hikes, and those ones are really tough and can actually sometimes do more damage than good, the super long hikes. But yeah, doing hikes is definitely great for cardio, keeping my legs strong. And yeah, besides that, not a ton, honestly, just more snowboarding. I'm trying to snowboard as much as possible still. But yeah, trying to eat healthy and all that kind of good stuff too. So Alexander Georgiev with the super chat says from Bulgaria. Awesome. Shout out to everyone, all the snowboarders in Bulgaria. Says, what do you think of the Yes Optimistic 157? Awesome, man. Yeah, I think I haven't ridden the Yes Optimistic, but I think it's a pretty aggressive board from what I've heard. If anyone on the chat has any opinion on the Yes Optimistic, let me know. But I feel like it's an aggressive board. I think if you're into stuff like carving and going fast and big mountain riding, some place where you need a lot of stability, I feel like the Yes Optimistic is going to be a good choice. I believe it's a pretty advanced level rider snowboard too, so keep that in mind. And Takwa E with a really great question. It says, any tips for starting to ride switch, Kevin? And says, good day from Melbourne. Awesome. Love Melbourne, Australia. Actually got to visit Melbourne a couple years ago with TJ and Jill, and we had a great time around Melbourne. So really cool city. But riding switch, when you start out riding switch, you just have to remember that you already have some of the skills you need to ride switch. So you can already do heels, you can already do toes. The only thing you're adding in is letting your new front foot go down the hill first. And a great place to do that is to take it to a really mellow beginner area and just trust that when you let that new front foot go straight down the hill, that you can use your heels and toes to make the turn and to slow yourself down. So it's just about those first few turns, just having the faith that you're able to let your new front foot go straight and flat down the hill for a second before getting onto that new edge. So take it to someplace mellow and just give it have that faith to give it a try. But you definitely, I think the mistake people make with switch is thinking that they can start riding switch on like a more difficult green or difficult blue, but that's when it can be hard. It's like you really have to just take it back to an easy area. Krill SX with the super chat says, what do you think about the Arbor Coda? Oh man, I wish I could tell you more about the Arbor Coda. I haven't had the chance to ride it, but we'll definitely look into it. Arbor Coda. If anyone on the chat has an opinion on that board too, it'd be awesome to hear. But thanks for the support. And Jen with the super chat says, shout out DWCP, a group that some of the people on the chat are all a part of on Facebook. Awesome. Shout out to the whole group as well. You guys are the OGs. Thanks so much. Mac Visk with the super chat says, is skateboarding good for the off season? Yeah, I think we talk about this pretty much every week, that skateboarding is amazing for the off season for snowboarding because it just improves your balance so much. Especially like with like your, I find for skateboarding, you use your toes a lot more compared to snowboarding. So it really improves your like fine balance through your toes. So I think, yeah, skateboarding is amazing. If you can skateboard fairly regularly through the summer, you're definitely going to feel it in your snowboarding when winter comes back around. Tommy says, hey Kevin, I'm about the same height and size as you and was wondering what, let me just move this over. Says, I'm about the same height and size as you and was wondering what size you get your Volcom jacket and Volcom pants or bibs. No shops near me so have to shop online. Cheers from South Oz. Awesome, Tommy. Yeah, so I'm 6'3.5" and I weigh about 185 pounds. I wear my pant size for Volcom are large and the jacket size is extra large. I just find that the extra large jacket has the length and just the length towards like being long enough so that the snow doesn't get up my back, and then the sleeves are long enough as well. And Volcom is a little bit tricky because different stuff fits a little slightly different, but the last couple setups I've had from Volcom have been the stretch Gore-Tex, and getting the large pants with the extra large jacket has been perfect. But yeah, good question, man. Yeah, great Volcom outerwears. I've been loving it the last few years for sure. And we got a question. What about Binding's Union Force team? Are they good for freestyle? For me, I'm nearly 100 kilograms. Yeah, definitely. I feel like the Union Force, they are like a little bit stiffer, on the stiffer side for doing freestyle tricks. But if you're a heavier person, then having bindings that are a bit stiffer, you may want that extra stability. So yeah, Union Force, and you could maybe even go to a binding that is a little bit softer flexing if your goal is freestyle. So maybe something like the Union Stratas, or maybe the Union Contact Pros, but the Contact Pros may be too soft for you. But that may be where you draw the line. But yeah, good question, man. And Justin Visey with the super chat as well, man, says, I hope all are well, recovering from wisdom teeth surgery right now. Any snowboard movie recs outside of Out Cold and The Fourth Phase? Nice, Justin Visey. Yeah, let's if anyone in the chat has some favorite snowboard movies, it'd be great to throw them out there. But yeah, what are some, maybe if you can find some of the older MacDog videos, those were some of my favorite. One's called Follow Me Around, Picture This. But yeah, there's lots on YouTube. If you search, also some of the old Forum snowboard movies are pretty cool. My favorite was always between Forum and MacDog. Those are my two favorite movie producers of snowboarding back in the day. But yeah, I'm sure lots of people on the chat have some suggestions for favorite snowboard movies. I know Out Cold, that's a hilarious one. It's really, really good snowboard movie from the early 2000s. And Krill's SX with the super chat saying, what do you think about The flow bindings. Yeah, I think flow bindings are convenient because for anyone that doesn't know, the flow have the rear entry style. So the high back actually comes all the way down and you can slide your boot in that way. And then you pull the high back up to lock it in place. I feel like they are convenient, but there's two places where you could have troubles with flows. One is that with flows, you always have to be on your knees to put or on your knees or on your toe edge to put your boots in. So if you, for some reason, find yourself in an area that's difficult to get onto your toe edge, then that's when putting the bindings on can be a little bit tricky. So if you're on a steep face and you're sitting on your butt and you're on your heels, you have to remember that to get your bindings on, you got to switch over onto your toes or onto your knees to get the bindings on. So that's one kind of tricky spot with it. And then the other thing is I find that with on like a powder day, a day where there's lots of snow accumulating, sometimes you can get snow stuck inside of the flow bindings, and then it's harder to get your boot into that rear entry system. So it's just a little bit, you got to really clean them out to make sure you can get your boot into the flows. So there's kind of like some pros and cons. The pros is that they're convenient to get on, and the cons are those two scenarios where you could have issues with flows. All right, good question so far, guys. Loving it. Timu says, hey, Kevin, is it worth it to keep edges sharp while going down rails or boxes? Love from Finland. No, if you're really into boxes and rails, you probably don't want to keep your edges too sharp. If anything, you may want to dull them. I know there's some great videos online of how you can dull your edges for riding rails and boxes. So maybe check some of those out. But yeah, really sharp edges is you almost want to have, if you're into having sharp edges for carving, but then you also want to have dull edges for doing rails, then you may want to have two boards. Have like your jib board with the edges dulled, and then have like an all mountain carving board with the edges sharp. So it's a little bit tricky, but yeah, you want to have dull edges for rails. All right. Oh man, let's see what's going on here. We got Thomas from New Zealand with the super chat. Says, hey Kevin, do you recommend the Orca? I know you love it. As a true Quiver killer, no park for all conditions. Planning a Whistler/Japow trip. Cheers. Yeah, definitely. I think it is, if you're not into park and you want something that can ride everywhere comfortably, the Orca definitely does that. So it's I'd say it's a Quiver killer minus the park. So if that's you, then it's perfect. What I like about the Orca is that when it is a pow day, it floats really well because of the taper and because of the shorter tail. But at the same time, it's not too powder specific. So it doesn't have like a big swallow tail, or the tail's not too short, so you can still ride it switch if you want to. And you have a bit of a tail for stability as well, which is key for riding the rest of the resort. And because of the profile of the board, so it's rocker between the feet, camber under your feet, and then rocker again towards the nose and tail. It gives you a mix of float with the rocker, which is great, so for powder, and then the camber for stability for when you're riding the rest of the resort. So it's kind of gives you a bit of both. So I think it's great. And then also the magnet traction on the edges for holding that edge when you're carving or riding ice. So yeah, love it, man. Thomas, I would go for it. I highly recommend that board. It's a great one for the do everything Quiver killer for sure. And Alexander Georgiev with another super chat says, if there's a chance to help BG snowboarders with knowledge on how to build a small snowboard park on Vitosha Mountain, will there be of interest to you? Oh, wow. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to building a snowboard park. I've never like worked in a park, like working on the features and setting up rails. I've done it just myself, like in a backyard scenario, or like up here in some of the woods around Whistler. I've built some features and some kickers, but never into the professional park building game. So yeah, I don't know. I would what you could do is maybe reach out on Instagram to some of the other terrain park Instagram pages, and like maybe ask them some questions about that. But I would love to visit your mountain someday, Vitosha Mountain. I guess that is in Bulgaria, is it? It'd be amazing to visit, man. But I don't have the best advice for really building a park. All right. All right, another super chat from Dr. Cochter says, "What's your opinion on the angry snowboarder?" All right, just gonna read your comment. Yeah, I don't want to comment. It's just, yeah. But I appreciate the super chat, man. And yeah, it's better to just keep things positive, not worry about any dramas. So yeah, everything's all good. But yeah, appreciate the super chat, man. Thanks for the question. All right. Stoker says, "I'm buying the Capita Mercury 2020 on 3 July. How would you describe it? An all-mountain freestyle or all-mountain freeride? My friends have mixed opinions." Yeah, it's a more aggressive board for sure, the Capita Mercury. So I would say, it's a resort board, or an aggressive resort board. So something that you can take free riding all over the mountain. And you can also take it into the park. But I would say that it is for advanced park riders. So more intermediate, I think, for the whole resort, because it gives you stability. It's stiffer. But if you were to take it into the park, I would say it's made for advanced park riders because of that stiffness, the aggressive camber. So yeah, if you're an advanced park rider and you love hitting big jumps and riding fast on rails, the Capita Mercury is a good one. But if you're more of a beginner intermediate park rider, I would probably lean towards something softer. It's just going to be more forgiving in the terrain park. But yeah, good question. Really cool board, Capita Mercury. It looks awesome. All right. Druberdix Innsbruck says, "Hey Kevin, it's Toby from Austria. What's up, Toby? What do you think about the Burton step-on system on a powder board?" Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. Again, the Burton step-on system is kind of personal preference. So I know that some people love the step-ons. I think if the convenience of step-ons is like at the top of your list of priorities, then the step-ons are like perfect for you. But I think that there are some trade-offs, I think, with the Burton step-ons. Like when I rode them, I felt a few different pressure points in my feet. You have less of a choice of boots. And I think just overall, you lose a little bit of performance. So if you can try the step-ons, I think trying them out first would be good. But I would, if the convenience of just the step-ons isn't your number one priority, I would just go with the traditional traditional bindings with the traditional straps. I think you'll just get better performance, and then you'll just get used to strapping the bindings on every time. But yeah, that's a good one. I'm actually interested in riding the step-ons more this upcoming winter. So I'll try to demo some more for you guys and see if they've changed over the years. And Dr. Cochter with another super chat from Canada saying respect. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thanks for the great questions. Appreciate it. Colin says, "What is the best way to practice indoor snowboarding at home? Would you use ? Shout out ? Yeah, shout out to Colin Crosby. Good question, man. So there's lots of things you can do. A couple things I've done in the past for just like indoor snowboard practice at home. One thing is you can, there's the Snowboard Addiction training board and rail setup and trampoline board, all kinds of stuff. So that's one option for having an at-home setup, and you can practice your rail tricks or box tricks with that, or even, or just practice tricks in general. And if you can make it to a trampoline center, it's fun to get on a trampoline with one of those boards. But another option is to make one yourself. So if you can get a skateboard deck and tape some shoes to it, and then what you can do is actually get like a 2-liter pop bottle, pour out or drink all the soda, and then fill it up with water, and then you can have like an at-home trainer that way. That's what I do. I really enjoy like having the like custom skate setup and like hopping onto the 2-liter bottle. It's like kind of a challenge because the bottle moves and rolls and really challenges your balance. So for me, like that's the way to go. But the Snowboard Addiction setup is fun as well. But yeah, it's up to you. But yes, training at home is really valuable, especially like getting closer to opening day. And if you're into doing like box tricks or rail tricks, having that at home sort of practice definitely I think helps. I always do some throughout the year, but then more when the season is coming around. And a million pop off with the super chat from Europe. Thank you, man. Says, should I get a slush slasher, an orca, a mind expander, a war pig, or an MC wayfinder? I'm so torn at the moment. Let's make it happen. SPC riding in Bulgaria. Awesome. Hashtag DWCP. A million pop off. That's a great question, man. So I'll give you my thoughts on each one, and then you should pick which one suits your riding the best. So I think, okay, first, slush slasher. For me, it's like the economical option, because it's a lower price point and it's very soft. So it's a very kind of like, it's like the beginner intermediate pow board. Orca, probably my favorite. Versatile, stable, good on the resort, great in powder, and it's definitely got like a medium flex. But yeah, stability, I would say it's the most intermediate to advanced of all those boards. Mind expander, from what I've heard from talking to my friends, the mind expander is the most like surfy version of those. So if you like cruising, surf, like going, keeping your board in contact with the snow and kind of surfing through the trees with a lot of ease, the mind expander is the way to do it. It's because it's more rocker dominant, so you're gonna get that looser, more surfy feel. War pig is kind of like a do everything. Again, it's kind of like a mid to soft flex board, but yeah, kind of like a do everything style board. It's probably the most versatile. MC Wayfinder, again, super surfy style board, so very good for floating through the powder, but not too aggressively. So the Mind Expander, MC Wayfinder, and Slush Slasher, those are the three least aggressive of all those boards. Orca, you can take it with more speed. It's better for landing drops. I think the Orca probably gives you the most stability of all those boards. And it's also, I think, probably the best. Actually, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I hope that helps, man. I'd go with the Orca. Good question, though, Emilian. Appreciate it. All right. Grandpa Bob with a question. Love a coach that rides goofy. What do you think about a video where you ride a green run and describe how you ride? As a beginner, it seems I have a bunch of tools, but not sure how to use. Yeah, that's a good video idea. Thank you for that. Yeah, so could do a video where I'm riding a beginner slope and just really describing what's happening and like, yeah, how I'm using the tools to ride. That's a great question. Yeah, I'll get that video done. Maybe I think I'll have to get back on snow to do it. So maybe once I'm back on snow and it's a good day for a beginner video, I'll make that up. But that's a really cool one. Just describing what's happening through those beginner turns. There are some videos on the channel already for some other beginner video ideas. But yeah, that's a really cool one. Thank you, Grandpa Bob. And just let you guys know too, I had another video request 2 weeks ago. And I can't remember who it was from. If anyone remembers, let me know. But it was for how to progress your snowboarding in 7 days. And that video is actually pretty close to being made. So big shout out to the person that requested that video as well. But yeah, really good, great request, Grandpa Bob. Appreciate it. Shout out to Rishi. Says, hey Kevin, I was able to make it. Awesome. Ruben says, did you ever try Jones Ultra Mind Expander Twin? Or sorry, Snowboard Ultra Mountain Twin. Is this a good board? I haven't had the chance to ride that board yet, but would love to get on it. All right. Hello Kitty says, is the Capita Horoscope a good board to practice tricks like presses and butters? Also, what are other boards that you have got for this upcoming season? Shout out to boarders in Yorkshire. Yorkshire or Yorkshire? Yeah, the Capita Horoscope is a good board for butters. It's fairly soft, but there's also some other comparable soft boards out there. So if you're into butters, check out park boards that I would say like come in at like a 3 out of 10 on the stiffness scale. That's like a good softness for doing butters. And the Capita Horoscope, it's kind of like a good intro to park board. So if you're just getting into it, the Capita Horoscope's a good one. All right. Dimitri says, how long have you been snowboarding? Dimitri, I think I've been snowboarding for 10, 20, 23 years. I think I started when I was 15 and I'm 38 now. So yeah, about 23 years. It's crazy. Francisco says, if you had to play TJ on a game of skate and snow, who would win? TJ would definitely win. He's got the like terrain park, like rail trick and spin game locked down like really well. So yeah, TJ would definitely win. He slays it in the park for sure. If we had like certain rules and like a format that like kind of like could benefit myself as well, because I think in some areas I can compete. That would be possible. So if we kind of like made rules that made it gave me a chance, then I may have a chance to win. But if it's just a free for all through the park, TJ would definitely win it. Luke says, what's your favorite obstacle / stunt in a park? I think of all the things like just, I probably like jumps the best. Jumps are really fun. And just having like a nice, like a medium sized jump where you can just work on a variety of tricks. I think that's my favorite. All right. Jason Levy says, I just bought a Capita Etterspace Living. What bindings would you recommend? Awesome, man. I would say like if you're looking at riding that board a lot in the terrain park, then maybe checking something out like the bent metal transfer bindings, or maybe the Union the Union Contact Pros. But if you want to take it more like park, but also like the rest of the mountain, maybe some more aggressive all mountain riding, then maybe put a slightly stiffer binding on it, something like the Union Stratas or Union Forces. Highland Cow, what will you do after YouTube? Still snowboarding stuff, or can you get retirement money? Well, my retirement is going to be hopefully just replays, re-watches on YouTube. So when I'm 80 years old, hopefully people are still watching some of the videos I made when I was in my 30s. That would be the ultimate dream. El Stacker is saying, smash the like button. Thank you, El Stacker. Yeah, the likes would be appreciated, guys. Thank you. And just quick update too, if you guys haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to miss the live chats, hit the bell beside the subscribe button and it'll notify you every time I go live. So that would be awesome as well. Alex with the super chat saying, hey Kevin, how much boot toe overhang is okay? Over the binding footbed with Skate Tech. Now has different sizing, 4 different bindings, threw me off. Sizing for different bindings threw me off. Yeah, I've never measured it, so I don't know how much is okay, but I would say that as long as your boot size falls within the binding boot range, then you should be fine. So you're gonna have a little bit of overhang on your heels and toes, but as long as, like for myself, I have size 10 boots and I have medium bindings, and the medium binding range I believe is from like 7 till 10 and a half. So I'm at the top of that range with a size 10 boot, but I don't feel any, I'm not worried about a little bit of overhang on my toes or heels. But if you got medium bindings and you have like a size 11 boot, then it might be a bit tricky. So just make sure that your boot falls within the range for the size of the bindings, and you should be fine. Yeah, and then the one place that really affects it, Alex, is that if you have large feet, a size 12 boot, and you have large bindings, then you also want to make sure that the board is wide enough. So making sure that you get a wide board, and also a board that is, even though it says wide, the specs say that it's wide enough for your bindings and boots. Osvaldo says, thoughts on getting medium bindings on a stiff board, 9 out of 10. Thinking of getting the Jones Ultra Mountain Twin. I'm a huge fan of the Malavita bindings, best straps. Awesome. I think that that's okay. For me, like my preference, even if I had a stiff board, I wouldn't want really stiff bindings just because I feel like they're too restrictive. So I think that's okay. The Malavitas, I think, are stiff enough for sure. But yeah, that's a stiff board, 9 out of 10. Wow, you love the aggressive boards. That's awesome. But yeah, I think you're good. If that's, once you get into the really stiff bindings, then yeah, it becomes super aggressive. And like, I'm not a fan of that. I wouldn't like it. So if your preference, if you don't like it either, then I think that's fine. And Hello Kitty wants to know, are you doing any more unboxing videos? Yeah, so I do have another snowboard that, so I ordered 3 boards at the end of, or mid-spring. There's a lot of sales online. So I went on, I picked up 3 new boards, and I have 1 left to kind of like unbox and set up. So I'll be doing that sometime soon, yeah. And the reason I got 3 boards is because there's a lot of snowboard trips hopefully coming up this summer. And yeah, wanted to have some new boards to try out for you guys and for myself as well. So so far I've got, yeah, the Battalion Surfer set up with the Union Force bindings and the Capita Outsiders board with the Union Strata bindings. So stoked on those setups, and I have 1 more unboxing and setup to do for you guys as well. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to test out the POW board anytime soon. I was hoping to be able to do a trip down south to Chile, Argentina, or New Zealand, or Australia, but I feel like because of the pandemic stuff, none of those countries are going to be open for foreign travel. So we'll just be stuck on the park board for the snowboard trips, which is okay as well. I'm cool with riding some park. Lucas says, just want to say thanks for doing these live chats. Not many people do it, and it's such a cool thing to do. Awesome, Lucas. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. Love talking to you guys. Stoked that you get something out of it, and it also challenges me too to be on top of my game as well for talking about snowboarding and learning enough so that if there's a good question, I actually know something. So yeah, thanks for the feedback, Lucas. Kyle 8 says, hey Kevin, every time I try to jump off my heel edge, the board slips out from underneath me, but on toe side jumps, the board doesn't slip out. Any pointers? Yeah, absolutely. So if you're riding up something on your toe edge, I think the reason it's not slipping out is your weight is still more stacked over your snowboard and not out past your toes. So, and it's actually easier to jump off your toes. It's like, in normal life, when we're jumping, we're usually jumping off our toes. We're not jumping off our heels. So it's a little bit more tricky to jump off your heels for sure. Something that you can think about is just not having, trying to think about having your weight still stacked over your board when you're on your heel edge and you're not too far like back out past your heel edge, because that is what is causing you to slide out. Just having your weight too far back past your heels. Also, what you can think of is when you're jumping off your heels, whatever situation that would be, try to like have less of a heel edge. Maybe just make it a little bit more mellow. With being on a bit of a more mellow heel edge when you go to take off or pop, then it's also going to help you not slide out. So yeah, I guess a good example of a jump on the heels would be if you're on your heel edge and you're going for a front side 180 off of like a side jump, or like a side hit, being a bit on your heels, but not too much, enough to carve, but not like, just not getting too heel heavy. And then another good way to think about it too, is that when you go to jump off your heels, think about jumping straight up into the air. And I think all of those things combined will help you to avoid sliding out. All right, quick little drink break. All right, Oliver saying, tips for becoming a snowboard instructor. Can you make a living from it? Awesome, Oliver. So if you want to become an instructor, I would say the first place to start would be, just make sure that you're riding yourself regularly. So going a few times a week. Look into when the snowboard instructor courses are. So I think in a lot of places, they'll have an instructor course at least once a month. Some of the busier resorts may have multiple courses happening a month. So look into your local spot and see when the next instructor course is. And some resorts also offer like instructor kind of like prep courses. So they might have like a weekend or one day a week leading up to the course where you can ride with somebody and get pointers on how to pass the course. Because there are like some specific things that the evaluators on the courses are looking for. So just some certain things in technique wise. So even though you may be a really solid rider, there may just be a few like technical things that the evaluators are looking for. So if you can do a prep course, if they don't offer a prep course, maybe go riding with somebody who's an instructor and ask them to like watch your riding and see if they can give you any feedback on just small things that you can adjust. So yeah, that would help. There may be some videos online as well where they show like what the like standard technique is for passing like a beginner instructor course. So check out some of those. Whether you or not you can make a living off of it, that's a bit different. I did. So as you become an instructor, you can actually take more courses, and like the more courses you take and the higher certified you become, usually they give you a pay rise with the more experience you get. So you can make a living. It's difficult because it's not necessarily always a full-time job. You may be working, you may not have like 40 hours a week as an instructor. Sometimes you can only get like 25 or 30 hours a week. So getting enough hours, and then, the top of where the wage sort of stops is kind of low. And especially living in a resort town can be expensive too. So that part's a bit more difficult. But there's other ways that you can get around that. Like you can have another part-time job. And then the other problem is like, what are you going to do in the summer? So make sure that you find something, a career or a job that you enjoy doing through the summer, so that when the snowboard and winter season ends, you can just transition into your summer job. So yeah, you can definitely make it work. Depends on it. There's a lot of factors in determining whether you can make it like a lifetime career. But I know I have some friends that are doing it. They're pulling it off. So yeah, you can make it work. But yeah, good question, man. I hope you take the course. Hope you can become an instructor. Thomas with the super chat from New Zealand says, "Hey Kev, do you know anyone who does guided tours at Whistler of these awesome lesser known spots you go to on your YouTube videos? Flying across the world to board Whistler and would love to see it all. Thanks." Awesome, Thomas. There are some, I guess, kind of depends, but there are lessons out there that are more, if you're an advanced rider and you're interested in exploring the mountains more, you can sign up for like a lesson. And if you sign up for an advanced lesson, if you're an advanced rider, and typically they take you around to the good spots. There's also a program in Whistler. It's called Extremely Canadian, and it's like the high-end, I guess, lessons or tours, and that's a pretty cool way to get shown some of the secret spots as well. But yeah, I think if you're an advanced rider, either signing up for just the regular lessons, or looking into the Extremely Canadian program. They can take you to some cool spots, but maybe check out, if you come to Whistler, look on the Whistler Blackcomb website, and there's like a category with some different options for getting like a tour / lesson. So I would look into that. I would love to take you around, Thomas, too, and just show you for fun. And if you're here and we meet up, it'd be fun to just go ride for fun. But I can't guarantee that I'll be here. I may not be here, or I may be like making videos, but it'd be fun to at least meet up, Thomas, when you come to Whistler, man. Zach has some inside information. Says, "What's the new Jones board you're gonna set up?" Awesome, Zach. I'll just save it. I'll save it for the unboxing and setup video. It'll be out soon. It'll be up like probably this weekend. I'll do it for you guys. Yeah, lots of great questions rolling through here, guys. So Kless08 keeps asking, thanks so much for your very complete in-depth answer. Nice. Awesome. Thanks so much. Okay. It's kind of jumping around here. Takwa E says, "Kevin, have you used the Decline high roller bag? Any advice on snowboard travel bags and travel in general?" Yeah, so I have used the Decline high roller bag. It's a good one. Yeah, it's really good. I think I prefer the Burton bag a little bit more. I feel like the Burton bag is a little bit stiffer, so that as you're wheeling it through the airport, it doesn't like slouch as much. So I can't remember the name of the Burton one, but it's similar to the high roller. I feel like between those two, I do like the Burton one slightly better. But the Decline high roller is a good one too. I've used both of them quite a lot. I guess on the flip side is that the Decline one is still in one piece, where the Burton, actually the zipper broke. So I don't know if I still have that Burton one or if I threw it out, but the zipper did break on it, or part of the zipper, one piece. So, but I've used both those bags for like years and years. Can't go wrong with either of those. Hello Kitty says, who's your favorite pro rider? Have you met any? I've met a few pro snowboarders, and yeah, everyone's been super nice. Man, who's my favorite? I don't really there's a guy from Norway, Iro Atala. I used to really enjoy watching him ride, and yeah, he was probably my favorite for quite a while. But yeah, at the moment I don't really have a favorite, but Iro Atala was up there. He was pretty amazing. Gleb with the super chat says, waxing with drill and round brush, fresh or tracked? Nice. I like the fresh or tracked reference from Snowboard magazine. Waxing with the drill and a round brush. I would say that's pretty fresh. I like it. Yeah, go for it. Whatever works. I feel like my waxing method is probably not the most efficient or best. And if you can pull it off with a drill and a round brush, that's amazing. So yeah, I'd say fresh. Nice one. And Tomer, any recommendations for a medium to soft binding for a lighter rider on the cheaper side? So yeah, a binding I would recommend that's on the cheaper side and lighter, something like the bent metal transfers. I've been riding I rode bent metal transfers on my park board all last season, and they were light, they were soft, and I think they were pretty inexpensive too. So yeah, something like that's good. Another option would be the Union contacts. The Union contacts, pretty light, soft binding as well on the cheaper side. And I believe the Burton Freestyle binding, they're like a intro level binding as well. Highland Cow is saying, so many super chats. Yeah, tons of super chats today, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate, big time appreciate the support. You guys are legends. El Stacker wants to know, where is everyone watching from? Awesome, good point. Yeah, where is everyone watching from? I know a lot of people have told us, but it'd be great for everyone to chime in. There's no potatoes in the chat either. Where's all the potatoes? Usually El Stacker is dropping the potatoes. Jackson saying, thanks for being a great snowboard coach through YouTube. You're really great. Thanks for helping me and others. Everybody subscribe and like the video. Awesome. Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate it, man. Alex says, hey Kevin, sounds like you're letting your inner shopaholic loose. Nice. Wanted to know your thoughts on one application waxes like Phantom snake oil ? Yeah, that's a good question. I know that there's some of those one wax like applications, like you wax your board once for life. I've never tried them, so I don't know. They could be good or they could be snake oil. I'm not sure. I feel like there needs to be like some videos on it, some reviews. So that would be cool. Maybe I can apply it to like an old board and see if it works. But yeah, I don't know if those things really work or if it's snake oil. All right, we got the first people dropping the potatoes. In Motion SLB watching from London with the potatoes in the chat. Thank you. Osvaldo threw in a burger as well. Osvaldo is saying, Kevin, closest town from Whistler. Would like to go, but I know staying in town can be expensive. Yeah, the tricky thing with Whistler is that the other two towns are maybe Pemberton. There's a town north called Pemberton. It's about a half-hour drive north. And there's another town south called Squamish, which is about 45 minutes south. And you can stay in those towns, but it's a little bit tricky because if there's any kind of like bad weather, driving between Whistler and those towns is a bit sketchy. It's a little bit can be dangerous in the winter. I would recommend that if you came to Whistler to stay like in Whistler. It's just tough because you almost don't want to be driving the highway through the winter if you're not really familiar with it. Unless it's like a massive savings, but there should be some options in Whistler that are on the cheaper side. I would just try to look and find like a deal, or just come when it's visit Whistler when you can find that deal, because staying in the surrounding towns is not that doable, especially like after a long day of riding and then having to like drive. It takes away from the experience, I think, of a trip to Whistler, because after riding you almost want to be able to go home, take off your snowboard gear, and then come back into the Whistler Village to go for dinner or like see some stuff around the town. So I think it's really worth it to swing it so that you can actually stay in Whistler. Because if you then have to drive for 45 minutes away after a day of riding, most likely you're probably not going to drive back. It's not really worth it. So I think it's worth it to try and stay in town. Man, tons of people dropping the food. Everyone letting us know where you guys are watching from. Lachlan saying, have you ever considered going to Hotham, Australia? Highly recommend. Good day from Victoria, Australia. Awesome, Lachlan. Yeah, I would love to get down there. Unfortunately, I think the Australian border is going to be closed the next few months, so I don't think I'll be able to make it this year, but would love to get down there sometime soon. Nick saying, hey homie, sorry America dropped the ball with COVID. Mount Hood has been ripping. I rocked 220 miles on my Orca during the quarantine and just got the headspace. I'm so thankful for my Quiver. Oh, amazing. Yeah, good choices. The Orca and the headspace. Yeah, I'm stoked that you like it, Nick. There's a possibility that I can get down to Mount Hood in a few weeks. Apparently for Canadians, if we fly to the States, we can get in that way. So I might be flying. Apparently it's like you can't drive over the border. So they're not letting people drive, but you can fly. So I may see you guys at Mount Hood sooner than later. And then Highland Cow hoping that the indoor slopes in the UK open soon. Awesome. Sweet, guys. So just going to call the live chat there. Been on here for about an hour with you guys. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for coming to hang out for this hour. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for all the great questions, for everyone that did the super chat, for all the moderators keeping the chat on point, and for just some really good feedback. And thanks everyone too who's been talking in the chat as well. I know a lot of you guys are giving people feedback and going back and forth like that. So big shout out to the snowboard community here on Snowboard Pro Camp. You guys are all killing it. Everyone's doing a great job out there. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope everyone's staying safe out there. And I'll talk to you guys on here next Thursday. Next Thursday at 3:00. Always trying to do the live chats every Thursday. And Gleb with one last plea for likes. Thank you, Gleb. Yeah, appreciate everyone that liked the video as well. And one more super chat coming in late from A Million Pop-Off saying, hope we all get to shred again very soon. Definitely A Million Pop-Off. That would be amazing. And thanks. Big shout out to the whole SPC fam. Appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you guys on here again soon. Thanks again. Hope everyone has a good day out there. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.